Now, let's toss it over to our first presentation regarding the Affordable Care Act. Substituting today for Project Manager Mike Chalkwater is John Landers. John, over to you.
Thank you, Tyler. Glad to be here, and thank you everyone to attending Projects Live. So we'll get into an update on the Affordable Care Act project. So as we know, and as we covered last month, the Affordable Care Act was signed into law in March of 2010. And we all know that Case Western Reserve University is a provider of health insurance to employees and students. Due to the size of the university, we are considered an applicable large employer, or an ALE, by the Affordable Care Act standards. Because of that, we are required to provide this information reporting to the IRS for covered individuals starting in 2015. So that is a big part of why we started this project. And to comply with the various reporting requirements, we are required to mail 1095 forms to recipients by the end of March. And we are also responsible for e-filing these forms to the Internal Revenue Service, or the IRS, by the end of June. So we hope that helps provide some context on why we're taking on this large effort. There are two parts of this effort. There's a significant part related to the employees of the university, and there's also one related to the students of the university. So we wanted to provide an update on status and some of the achievements related to the employee side. We've installed the most recent Oracle delivered software patches to our production HCM system, the system that provides access to our timesheets and to our paychecks. So those have been applied. And we've been working to correct the employee data in that system to remove any data discrepancies and to prepare and to make sure that we are sending the right data on any forms that have been sent out. We've also tested the process that creates this data file that's working with our vendor partner, and those are printed to what's called the 1095 forms. Recently, over the last several weeks, people should have received the 1095 forms on the employee side, and as we've been kind to meet our timeline and our milestones. So next, we wanted to highlight some status and achievements on the student side. So very similar. These are two parallel paths working together, one for the employee side and one for the student side. So they're following a very similar process, but with very different types of data, since one is employees and one is students. So like on the employee side, we've resolved all the data discrepancies for plan members, and we've uploaded the data file to the vendor on the student side, and we've released the 1095 forms for printing and mailing on the student side. So on both sides, the appropriate forms have been printed and mailed to the appropriate parties, whether it be employees or students. To highlight some upcoming milestones on both sides, both the employee and the student side, as we had highlighted in our presentation in early March, the data has been loaded to the FT William application. That has been complete. And as we've mentioned earlier, we've printed and mailed the 1095C forms for employees to the recipients. What we'll be doing over the next several weeks as we get ready is that we have to prepare to file this information to the IRS by the end of June. So we're starting discussions right now on when we want to actually prepare and e-file that to the Internal Revenue Service. But we are, moving on through this project on schedule and in accordance to meet the necessary timelines. So some similar updates on the student side. As we had highlighted in our March presentation, we've completed the data load to the OneSource application that we're using, and also the student information, the 1095B forms have been printed and mailed to recipients as well, and those should have been received. And like the employee side, we also have to prepare to e-file this information to the IRS. So as we have those discussions on the employee side, we'll also be having them on the student side on making sure over the next several weeks that we will discuss the timeline we want to e-file those to the IRS. So also, as we nearing the final stages of this project, so we'll be doing things like completing and reviewing the necessary process documentation, which is a common step in a lot of our projects, and we'll be making sure that we do the appropriate knowledge transfer with human resources staff on campus, as well as documenting lessons learned, which is a common part of all of our projects. With that, Tyler, I believe those are all the updates we have. Are there any questions from the audience?
Thanks, John, for that update. We do have one question for you. So, given that the April 15th tax deadline is quickly approaching, what does this mean for the timeline for the remainder of the project?
So great question, Tyler. Thank you for asking. Like we said, that the forms have been distributed out, so employees and students should have the necessary information to keep as part of their tax file. And the biggest remaining milestone for our project effort is discussing the timeline to file the employee and student information to the Internal Revenue Service, which needs to be completed by the end of June. And over the next several weeks, we'll be discussing that timeline on when we want to send that to the IRS and do common project steps like complete our lessons learned and make sure all the necessary processes are documented for this project. So thank you.
Thank you, John, for that update.